better get ready. Oh no. Oh, oh, oh.
Hello and welcome to Qadash Farm. Here we believe that preparation is the key to reparations. Well, the topic we're going to go into today is entitled estate planning. Estate planning is pretty taboo, especially in the so-called African American community. Planning for someone passing away is not really spoken of in detail like it should. It is the number one reason why inheritance cannot be passed down in the African American community, because we don't talk about it and because we don't plan for the unexpected. Truly, one of the most devastating things that happen in the African American community is when the breadwinner passes away. Well, when you think about moving out into the country or going out to be a homesteader or purchasing a farm or land of any amount, you really want to think about estate planning, i.e., what happens to that property when the breadwinner or the father or the one that's handling that land, what happens when they pass on? What happens to the spouse or the children if the paperwork on that land is not taken care of correctly? I know most people are saying when the father or breadwinner passes on, of course it's going to go to the wife. Okay, say that's true. What is the wife going to do with the land? Is she going to get out and get on the tractor? Is she going to cut down trees? Is she going to dig drain lines? And is she going to tend to the cattle and to the things that are outdoors? Well, if you don't have any sons, and if you don't have sons that want to take over the land, what is probably going to happen is the mother is going to see if someone in her family wants to buy it, or she is going to sell the land and move back to the city. So what you really want to look at is generationally raising your children and partnering with their family members so the land stays in the family, especially if you don't have family land somewhere. We want to look at if the land is in both parties' name, if the land is in the husband and the wife's name, is that those names being on the deed, is that enough? Well, what happens if both the father and the mother pass away? What happens to the land? Well, more than likely, the land will go into probate. The children will have to fight over who's going to be the executor and who's going to go to court, who's going to handle the death certificates, who's going to be first on the deed. What happens to the property after that? It's probably going to be some kind of family civil war. And the purpose of this video today is talking about estate planning. So most of you are saying, okay, I know what you're saying. Like if we just left our names on the mortgage and names on the deed, is that enough? Well, it's not enough to protect you from predators, like lawyers and corporations, people seeking to take land away from families. That'd be enough for you to protect yourself against your own family. So here's some things we want to talk about today. We want to talk about, is a will enough? Me, Farmer John, is it enough for me to just get out my notepad and write down the wishes and what I want to happen to this property, to the house on the property, to the animals on the property? Is it enough for me to just to write it out and say, if something were to happen to me, I want 100% to go to my wife. And if something happens to her, I want it to be split amongst my kids. Is that enough for my brothers and sisters and other family members to honor it? Are wills honored? Will my oldest son honor my oldest daughter, or whoever you write in the will? Can the will ensure that there's not a family feud? Well, wills are good, but wills don't cover everything that is on your property. Do your research. Please look into the things that can be covered and the things that cannot be protected under a will. Well, a couple of other things that are suggested is, hey, if you say you know that you're terminally ill, or you know a mother or father is going to pass away, what can happen is you can adjust the deed before that person passes away. So if I know that I'm going to pass away, I can assure that the deed is solely in my wife's name. Or you can make sure that if it's, say, I'm on the property on my own, I can deed the property over to my oldest living child while I'm still alive, so that they don't have to worry about probate in the courts after I pass away. Right? Just throwing some scenarios out there that there is a process where you can deed the land over to another living relative before you pass on. Plan out everything. And that's the information I had to share with you today. That preparation is the key to reparations. I want you to remember, you got to get outside and get your hands dirty. A closed mouth don't get fed, and you can't expect to have something by doing nothing. In everything, plan it out, make sure you've thought it out, and make the best decision that you can. And until we see each other again, y'all bless.
You gotta get ready. Oh no.